In this video, we're going to demonstrate how a supplier stroke vendor can actually create their own automatic online onQ quotes. So this is basically demonstrating how you can create your own onQs and test your pricing that's been set in the system. So after you've set and defined your database and all your production variables and requirements, etc., you can click on the onQ icon, and in here it's asking you for 3 steps. So in step 1 it's asking you to enter the title, enter a reference. You can select a buyer, so by selecting a buyer it can open you up to the buyer's category, product category list and their product types accordingly. But in the system you could choose any one of those, or you could just simply choose from the generic product categories to test from. And for the best part, most of the products that are required for testing are already in there. So if you wanted something like a stitched with separate cover, simply click on that, and then underneath the product types you'll notice there's various different products in there for you to test. So by clicking on any one of those, it opens up the product specification box like so, now showing you the saddle stitch separate cover and text tabs that you need to enter in there. We have a little tick box which means you can return prices back for litho offset only if you didn't want to test your digital, but by leaving that unticked it will return back the best price that your data can return. Now the primary quantity in there, you can select that or you can free type it in. You can add additional quantities, as many as you like. You can then also test your different proofing options by selecting what types of proofs you want to do for this test pricing, and the number of proofs of course. So if you've got high risk proof you could put in a couple of proofs in there and see the costs for that. Now the product specification area, obviously starting with the cover here, it's asking for the number of pages. If we had a 6-page throughout, then obviously we can change that to 6 pages. Sizes can be selected from a drop down list, or you can select custom and free type them in. Now when you change anything in custom or you change your size, it's asking you a question here: would you like to update the finish size for all other sections as well? So if we had multiple tabs like in NCR packs or anything like that, then it will update those automatically if you click yes. But there might be instances where things are different sizes, so you can say no and have a different size in each tab. You can also change the orientation, so landscape or portrait. You can also add in flat dimensions on the X or Y dimensions, so on the long edge or along the bottom. And these are perfect for when you want to do some things like capacity pockets, etc. Under the More tab we have plate changes. Now these plate changes are for if you need single colour changes to covers or full colour changes depending on the number of plates being used, but this is based on number of plates. So please be aware that this is a manual calculation that you need to pre-work out the number of plates that are required to add to this, which will allow for the plate changes. The colours, we have default to 4x4 in this particular product at a 30% coverage. You can change your CMYK or click on more if you wish to add any specials like PMS, metallics or spots. Do you aqueous or machine seal this material? Now as default most mats and silks will have the default ticked, but if you do not require the sealer you can untick that. If you have extra coatings you can select from the drop down the different types of coatings, and if you're in the United States of America there'll be different types of aqueous coatings as well. The stock types, now based on the generic of course, paper's kind of irrelevant when you're testing pricing because it's not your paper pricing that's of concern at this point, it's your production costs. So the generics have got paper pricing in there that are from the system itself, but they're not representative of what the marketplace is, so you can ignore paper costs, but obviously selecting the right material obviously has impact on run speeds, etc. So make sure you get your materials correct for price testing. And then additional processes, if there are any, you can add elements like die cut complex simple, laminations, numberings, perfings, remoist, depending on what production processes you can do, of course. Those that you can't do, if selected, it will advise you that you can't price for those elements, and if you do need to add pricing in for those elements, you can either get in touch with your provider or update your system. So click on next to step 2. Step 2 is now showing you what binding options are taking place here. So this is saddle stitch, so we don't need to change anything there. And then packing options we can choose. We can pack, we can band, we can carton pack, we can craft wrap, we can shrink wrap, and we can do multiples. So if we needed to say we need to pack those into boxes, it asks you how many you need, so you can specify that. And if you also need to say shrink wrap that item, you can also select shrink wrap as well, and what do you want to shrink wrap that into. So you can say, well, I want that in 10s. Delivery date if known. If not, then that can just be left at today's date. And then if you want to test your delivery cost, you can deliver to either single, and the little cog there can add custom addresses if you want to choose something that isn't within this list, or you can choose multiple addresses where you can break this down and even add further deliveries, so you can look at breakdowns of deliveries over a single job. And then to test your pricing, simply click onQ Instant Price, and this will take you to the breakdown screen, which was demonstrated in the navigation training video. And in here you'll see the full description of the product that you've just quoted. And again, the prices that we're going to be viewing in a second are based on your default margins in your My Account area. We have the option to re-quote if we want to do a few options. So rather than go through the quoting routine again, we can just simply hit that re-quote, change anything that we want about this product, number of pages, finishes, material, number of colours printed, and just keep re-quoting multiple options. As we scroll down, you can see here we are viewing our primary quantity, but if we had other quantities, then we can swap and view the workings for those multiple quantities, like so. The selling price at this point and the ranking is irrelevant because you're only pricing for your own testing, so you'll always be ranked number 1. But what it does show you, which is interesting, if you have a benchmark in your area, the market guide price and where your pricing is associated to that. Now this is a sustainable average printer's cost without any marginalization. So it shows you there exactly what the price breakdown is for that. And if you wanted to look at the benchmark costs as opposed to your own breakdown costs, you have the option up there to tick let's view the benchmark costs, and then view let's tick my costs. And just by comparing those two from a screenshot, you can see if there's any pricing that's out and where you might need to tweak your data. And again, this shows you your subtotals with your markups accordingly, and then your section-based information, your finite breakdown of production costs, times, and your outputs per hour. And again for your text, which shows you multiple pages. So if there's multiple 16 plans there, it would say X number of 16s. If there are any 12s, 8s or 4s, any unique sections will be shown as further text tabs. And then scrolling further down, this will obviously show you your shipment costs for delivering this in bulk, standard next day, anytime. So that's creating an onQ, testing an onQ quote as a supplier.